सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचम् स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु। The last value that we discussed was this one. Ishta, anishta, upattishu. When ishta, desirable, favorable, likable. Anishta, undesirable, unlikable, unfavorable. When people, things, beings, situations which present themselves before us. People present themselves before us, situations, events, objects, and we are constantly confronted with this because we are living a life in which we are related to the world, and anything other than myself is called world. It may be one person or a number of people. But usually that situation can be classified either as ishta or anishta. Success, desirable. Failure, undesirable. Honor, desirable. Dishonor, undesirable. Praise, desirable. Censure, undesirable. Gain, desirable. Loss, undesirable. Health, desirable. Disease, undesirable. Birth, desirable. Death, undesirable, etc. So this is how life is made of dvandva or pairs of opposites. So we are required to constantly confront these pairs of opposites which invoke different responses from me. Success, honor, desirable invokes one kind of response where I respond happily. I am overjoyed, elated. Failure, loss, all of these undesirable things evoke a different response. I become unhappy, sad. Thus in my mind, the mind like a seesaw goes from harsha to shoka, elation, depression. Samachittatvam. It is necessary that we should be able to enjoy sameness of the mind because Atma is the same. The mind should be in tune with what it is that we want to meditate upon. And Atma is the same. As Lord Krishna says, Mai Saramidam Protam Sutre Maniganayava. All this is threaded into me like the pearls in a thread. The whole universe is strung into me. I'm the thread that connects everything, informs everything. The same among all dissimilar. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. Same 13th chapter says, Parameshwaram, the great Lord, samam sarveshu bhuteshu samam tishtantam, that it obtains same, equally in all the dissimilar things. So one who is same in all dissimilar, that is one among many, the changeless among changing, the imperishable among perishable. So that is ourselves, that's what we want to know. And that is where we want to abide. Therefore a mind which is in tune with that. So mind also enjoys sameness. Then that mind will be able to understand what is Atma really same. Pandita Samadarshina. Lord Krishna says, wise are those who it is they see the Samatvam, the sameness. They are those who be Samam Brahma. Again, Sama is Brahman. Therefore, Lord Krishna prescribed Samachittatvam, the sameness of the mind. Because that mind would be conducive to know and abide in the self which is same. And for that, last night we mentioned the attitude called Prasada Buddhi, seeing things as Prasada or the grace of the Lord. Success, Prasada. Failure, Prasada. Honor, Prasada. Dishonor, Prasada. Those easier said than done, by the way. Easier said than done. Success, I don't mind seeing it as Prasada. Honor, thank you Lord. Praise, thank you. But failure, dishonor, pain, to see that also as prasada is a tall or is a tough thing. You often hear this, why me? When something painful happens, then this question arises, why should it happen to me? What have I done, Swami? My brother, what has he done? Why should it happen to him? These questions arise in our mind. Very often we find that things are not fair. Swamiji, God is not fair. I don't deserve this. He doesn't deserve that. It could very well be. In fact, there is no way that we can determine why a given thing happens the way it does. All we can say is whatever happens is the karma phala, result of action. Whose action? Generally speaking, my action. Some other actions could be involved also. But which action, Swamiji? I don't know. In this life I haven't done anything to deserve this. There also I do not know. So who knows which action from this life, which life? We have no way of determining that. That key, that is locked. And that key Ishvara has kept with himself. It's good also. Right now it will appear to me how nice would it be if I knew everything, but that would be miserable. It's better that we don't know. Swamiji, how do I know there was past birth? If I was born in the past, should I not remember it? Thank God that you don't remember it. Who knows what I was in the past? What kind of problems, and if I see the same people again, what will happen to me? It's better to forget. Better that we don't know what we don't know. But we want to know. Why should it happen? The interesting thing is, when something good happens to me, I never ask the question, why me? That should be me. Because I deserve that. And I don't deserve this. And we sympathize with this. People in pain will say that, we sympathize. But this pain, loss, failure are very difficult to accept. That is where we test our commitment to prasada buddhi, accepting that as prasada or grace of the Lord. This is where we are challenged. And it only requires total faith or trust in Ishvara. That Ishvara is fair, is not unfair. Ishvara has no raga dvesa, meaning that he doesn't do anything as prompted by attachment and aversion of favorite and Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosti na priya. Lord Krishna says, I am equal to all. I have no partiality, no cruelty to anybody. It's a matter of faith until we discover it ourselves. There is no reason why Ishvara should have any raga dvesha. Raga dvesha is attachment and aversion. Be partial to somebody, be cruel to somebody else, always emerges from an incomplete being, from someone who feels lacking, wanting, incompleteness, from a needy person. When I am needy, then whatever I perceive as potentially helping fulfill my need becomes an object of like. And that which seems to threaten the fulfilling of need becomes an object of dislike. So it is need in me that is cause for this partiality, cruelty, likes, dislikes, disreacts. But Ishvara is not needy. Purnameva vashishyate, purnatvam, wholeness, completeness is the nature of Ishvara, the nature of reality. Satyam, jnanam, anantam brahma. Brahma means God or Ishvara is anantam, infinite, all inclusive. There is no lack or want. Therefore, there cannot be any demand from Ishvara. The demand always arises from an incomplete, lacking, wanting being. There cannot be any demand that Ishvara wants something from anybody. That Ishvara prefers something to something else. That is partial to somebody. Cannot, because he has no agenda, there is nothing to gain. This is the ultimate truth of life, where there is no agenda. That's Ishvara. That is Brahman. So raga dveshas cannot go along with Brahman or Ishvara. Meaning that when we ask this question, why? That question is asked because we feel that Ishvara is unfair. He seems to be cruel. That is when we complain. When we are punished by a parent, we complain. So when you look upon something as a punishment, now that is also an interpretation. Whether what happens to me is punishment is also my interpretation. How do I know? In the scheme of things, how do we know that a given event or episode is necessarily wrong or right or favor or disfavor? There is no way, because we don't know what is happening today, what effect it will have 5 years ago, 10 years, 5 years later. We do not know. In future, past, etc. We don't know. Meaning that with the extremely limited knowledge that we have, it is not possible for us to determine the why, the cause of something. Cause is Ishvara. He is Purna. He is always impartial. He is not only impartial. God is impartial. We don't want an impartial God. We want a benevolent God. He is benevolent. Because from fullness only benevolence can come. From fullness no partiality can come. And that Ishvara is benevolent is evident when we look at the creation. We find that in the creation there is care for every creature that is created. There is provision for every creature from birth to the death. Whatever any creature needs at any time is provided for. Like when we are born, everything is provided for. The air is there, the food is there, everything is there for everybody. So when we look at the creation, we see there is care and concern and benevolence everywhere. There is harmony everywhere. There is spirit of yajna offering everywhere. Every element of nature offers itself. The sun offers itself, and the clouds are formed. They offer themselves, rain comes. Water offers itself, food comes. Even the grains come. They offer themselves, food comes. And so forth. This is how it is a whole harmony, a law of offering called yajna. Offering can only come from a full heart, never come from an empty heart. So Ishvara is full, benevolent, and a well-wisher. How is a benevolent? Suhridam sarvabhutanam. I am Suhrid, I am well-wisher. One who extends help without being asked, that's a Suhrid. So if this is our understanding of Ishvara, then only this prasada buddhi is possible. Accepting the unfavorable, accepting the painful as Ishvara's prasada can be possible only when we have this implicit trust that he is my well-wisher. Even in apparently what looks like punishment also, some well-being of mine is involved. What it is, I don't know. It is this trust or shraddha that is called for in trying situations. Things are going well, we don't need that. But things are not going well. Things are going well, then also we need it, then we appreciate constantly the grace that we are enjoying. However, moment, we are enjoying the grace, that I can breathe, I can talk, I can see, I can walk, my heart is love. Swami was for love, love. Love, love. With love and love, there is space. The heart rests. Love, rest, love, rest. If from love and rest the love did not happen, but it happens. That's grace. So in fact, this is important important to appreciate the grace constantly in our life. Buddhir buddhimatamam tejas tejasvinamam balam balavadam chaham. I'm the intelligence of the intelligent, the strength of the strong, the brilliance of the brilliant. Because of me the everything is. I pervade the entire universe as a blessing. If this appreciation, a proper understanding of Ishvara is, and we keep that in mind and live our life accordingly, then only it will be possible for us to have an attitude or a state of mind where we can maintain some degree of poise even in unfavorable or painful situations. Sukha dukkhe samay kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhai rasana Krishna Svajana. Then before you fight this battle, may you maintain the state of mind of equanimity. Sukha dukkhe samay kritva, that for you pleasure and pain both are equal. Labha labho, gain and loss. Jaya jayo, victory and defeat. You're not fighting for victory. You're not fighting for gain. Not fighting for happiness. Then what? Fighting for what is right. Fighting for a cause. So Arjuna, that is what the Arjuna is taught. What dharma or duty is cause. Some cause should be there in the life, and life be dedicated to that cause, then these things become unimportant. So this prasada buddhi, sameness of the mind, requires a very keen understanding of Ishvara. And when we say this is coming from Ishvara, it is karma phala data, is a dispenser of the result of action. Who is the dispenser? Who is dispensing the result? More clearly understand that, it will be easier for us to maintain that attitude of sameness, equanimity, or graceful acceptance. And Lord Krishna prescribed this value because, as we say, that sameness of the mind is very important to know the self that is same, of the nature of sameness. Ultimately, when we say sameness of the mind, that sameness is relative, which becomes means of knowing the self, there is absolute sameness. To know the absolute, we require the relative. What Swami used to say, that you cannot gain love, attain love through the pathway of hatred. The mind must be relatively loving to recognize that self is of the nature of love. Mind should be relatively happy to recognize that self is Ananda. When I am sad and then the teacher says, you are Ananda, I become more sad. I am supposed to be Ananda. So this sameness with cheerfulness, maintaining that poise of the mind, cheerfulness of the mind, or sameness of the mind. It may be a tall order to remain cheerful in the place, on the face of some adversity. But at least we do not become devastated. We become devastated in adversity. We're incapable of doing anything. Things get blocked. People's lives stop there. Because sometimes intellect wants answer, it doesn't get answer, it stops there. But some impact is so much that we just cannot recover from that. So this is a very important value. Nityam cha samachittattvam ishta nishto bhavateshu. Let us proceed to the next verse. Mayi cha ananya yogena bhaktirabhya vicharini viviktadesha sevitvam Aratirjana samsade. Mayi cha ananya yogena bhakti avyavicharani. Bhakti, devotion. Towards the Mayi. Lord Krishna says, devotion to me. So when this pronoun I, Mayi, is only the seventh case of Asmat, so Mayi means in me. In I, Lord Krishna said. So what does Lord, now, see this is where people come with different interpretations. What does Lord Krishna mean when he says I? The 11th chapter also, the three meanings of I can be possible. The apparent meaning is I means a cosmic form. So Shankaracharya would say that the 11th chapter is meant for a meditation upon the cosmic form of Ishvara. But some other people, no. Arjuna got scared of the cosmic form, and therefore he says to Lord Krishna, please withdraw this form and show me your benign form with 4 hands. So Lord gave up that form and assumed a form with 4 hands. And further reduced himself to the human form, which is Lord Krishna's 2 hands. So there are 3 forms in 11th chapter. So when 12th chapter talks about meditation upon which one? That's how Vedantin will say cosmic form, Vishishtadvaitin say it is Narayana, Dvaitin say it is Sri Krishna, etc. So anyway, when Lord, that is why I, unswerving, unabhyavicharani bhakti, unswerving devotion to me. So that me or the Lord Krishna should be interpreted in light of what we are studying. What are we studying? What is the nature of Ishvara? The 7th chapter Lord Krishna said, Mattah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, hey Arjuna, there is nothing other than me. All there is myself. What was the need for Lord Krishna to say that there is nothing other than me? Because for any creation, at least 2 factors are required. One is a maker, other is a material. These 2 are minimum required for creating anything. And therefore, for creating the universe also, we would imagine that there is a maker and there is a material. Where material is different from the maker. Maker is always a conscious being, the material is unconscious like clay. So, other than Vedanta, all the traditions are based on taking the creator, the maker, as different from the material. The creator as different from the creation. When Lord Krishna says there is nothing other than me, he means that there is no material other than me. Meaning that the material cause and efficient causes are not different. Both of them resolve into me. And that is how the Advitiyatva, the non-duality is established. So Ishvara that we are talking about is one without a second. Sadeva Soumya idamagrasid ekameva advitiyam. Oh my dear, this universe was, before its creation, was Sat, existence, one without a second. So ideally, worshipping Ishvara means worshipping the truth that is one without a second. And therefore, the nature of worship also is in keeping with what we are worshipping. So Ananya Yogena, as Shankaracharya will interpret Ananya Yoga, is worshipping me with the attitude of non-duality. Is worship then. Worship always involves duality. a worshipper and worshipped. But Ananya Yogena, where the worshipper is Ananya, non-separate from the worshipped. So this is bhakti that Lord Krishna prescribes in the context of jnana or knowledge. What is bhakti? A dedication and a dedicated effort. Here, what is effort? Is to know the Lord, and therefore a total dedication or commitment to the knowledge of Ishvara as one non-dual will be the meaning of bhakti. The same bhakti can then manifest as worship, puja, offering, all of this. But ultimately, bhakti is worshipping Ishvara as my own self. That can be only when the my own self does not remain, all that remains is Ishvara. Meaning, this bhakti will involve a constant offering of that which creates a distance or duality with the Lord, is my ahankara. Sense of individuality. That's what creates the apparent distance between Ishvara and myself. So a constant, a dedicated effort, all the offering ahankara. So that is how it started with Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga also is form of bhakti. Prasada Buddhi also is bhakti. Accepting what comes as prasada or as grace of Ishvara is bhakti. Then performing action as an offering to Ishvara also is bhakti. Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manava. Lord Krishna says that performing action in spirit of worship to the Lord, one attains perfection, siddhi. And that culminates into, see, the arrangement in Bhagavad Gita of the 18 chapters is, it is the 3 sections of 6 chapters each. First 6 chapters emphasize Karma Yoga. Second 6 chapters emphasize Upasana or meditation. And last chapters emphasize Jnana. It's all bhakti. You can say that Bhagavad Gita is a text of bhakti. So bhakti is meant to erase the distance between the Bhakta and Bhagavan. Bhakti is meant to erase the distance between the seeker and the sought. And that erasing distance is brought about, carried out in the 3 stages, where first is called Karma Yoga. Dedicated or consecrated action. Performing action as an offering to the Lord. Yajnathat karmanonyatra lokoyam karmabandhana tadatham karma kaunteya mukta sankas. So Lord Krishna says, perform your action. This is for yajna. Yajna means worship, offering. And also, by the way, accept the result as prasada. So attitude towards karma and attitude towards the karma phala. First level of bhakti. Then we graduate to the next level, which is upasana or meditation upon Ishvara. The next 6 chapters. So they talk about what is the nature of Bhagavan, what is the nature of bhakti. Chaturvida bhajante mam janaha sukritanurjana arto jignya sugarthati jnani te bharatarshava. Lord Krishna says, 4 kinds of virtuous people are my devotees. Artaha, the first level of devotion is, he resorts to me when he is in distress. Finds no way out, then he comes to me. You find this kind of bhaktas in here at time of examination. Children going to school, going to temples, going to Lord Ganesha with coconut, Hanuman with oil. Artha, what will happen to tomorrow is examination, I'm so nervous. Lord, please help me. I can't remember, I've already done revision 3 times, I'm forgetting everything. Artharthi. Next is the person who worships Lord because he wants to fulfill some material desire. Third is Jignasu, who worships Lord because he wants knowledge, which culminates in Jnani, culminates into the wise person who enjoys, who knows the oneness of non-duality, Vasudeva Sarvam, that what is Vasudeva, what is Ishvara. So that is the vision of Ishvara that Bhagavad Gita presents. So worshipping Ishvara here means worshipping Ishvara of the nature that is presented in Bhagavad Gita, one without a second. What is Ishvara? Then what is includes me also. It's not that what is the out there, and includes me also. Aham Hari Sarvamidam Janardana. I am Hari. All this is Janardana. Means this all I am also the same Ishvara. So that is the ultimate thing that we want to abide in. So a commitment to that knowledge and what is required in order for that knowledge to take place also will be all part of that commitment. So bhakti. Bhakti abhyavicharani. Lord Krishna says that unswerving devotion to me. Understand that we are devotees by nature. Every moment we are worshipping something. You know what? At any moment, whatever is the most important to me, I am a bhakta or devotee of that. Because I am committed to what is the most important, I am devoted to what is the most important to me. If it is wealth, fame, power, or values, Shuddhanta, purity of mind, moksha, whatever is most important to me is what I am devoted to. So first of all is important the mind comes to this ascertainment that what is most important is Ishvara. Sarva Dharman, give up all other agenda, Lord Krishna says, and make me your the only agenda. Ananya Yogena. He is a very jealous Lord. Some spouses, they want their total attention paid to me. Whose call was that? Where did you go? Why are you late? Who are you writing to? We don't want anybody else to occupy that place. Bhagavan also doesn't want. Ananya, I should be the only one you should be devoted to, nobody else. Although he cannot, he may demand, but he may not do it, he will wait. If you are coming to me only to solve your difficulty, I'll do that. If you are coming to me to fulfill your desire, I'll give you that. At one point a question is asked, well Lord, you know that everybody needs moksha. The desire behind all desire is moksha. Why did you give them all moksha? I'll give them moksha, but they should have value for it. Otherwise they'll throw it away. A child is crying and then to stop the child crying, I take out a $2,000 wristwatch from my wrist and give it to him. He'll throw it, he wants candy. No value for this. So unless the value for moksha, Lord, what can I do? Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stasya bhajamyam. I bless them in the way that they worship me, they pray to me. Therefore, only thing, therefore this conviction should arise that what is most important is moksha. And knowledge is the means for moksha because moksha is attainment of what is already attained. That is where knowledge comes. Otherwise knowledge, then karma will come. If moksha was not the already existing fact, meaning I was not liberated already, and to become liberated then an effort would be required. Then karma will become most important. That is why those who think that I am a Jivatma, a limited being. For them, karma is more important, upasana is more important. But here, that I am already Brahman. It's a matter of ignorance that makes me believe that I am a Jivatma. So moksha is already accomplished. Then knowledge. In case of 10th man, knowledge alone can solve the problem of 10th man. If one is really lost, then knowledge cannot solve the problem. Then you do something to find him. Isn't it? All these things should become very clear. We said earlier, ignorance is only problem. Knowledge is only solution. And there are no other problems. So this conviction will make me a seeker dedicated only to that. Then if this becomes the most important to me, moksha is, that's all I am seeking. Knowledge is only means. And therefore, the mind which is fit for that knowledge is the means. So if all this scheme is clear to me, then I will only remain the devotee of Ishvara, the one non-dual self. Ananyogi, abhyavichara, unswerving devotion to me and to me alone, to nobody else. That is a mature devotion. It will come in course of time. But that is what the devotion, the maturity should be, that all that matters to me, or all I am devoted to, is nothing but Ishvara. Mayicha ananyogena bhakti abhyavicharani. So bhakti here becomes an attitude, commitment, dedication. This comes from viveka or understanding. So proper understanding creates bhakti, and bhakti then creates the knowledge. So this bhakti becomes the means of the knowledge of non-duality, if it is based on the non-duality. In the Upanishad, you'll come across this statement. Yame vaisha vrunute tena labhya tasesha atma vivrunute tanum swam. In Kathopanishad as well as Mundakopanishad, this statement comes. Yameva esha vrunute. The one who chooses this Lord, chooses the Atma. Ten labhya, who attains the Atma? The one who chooses the Atma is the one that attains the Atma. Yameva esha vrunute. Yam eva esha yam vrunute. This one, the seeker, when he chooses Atma, then he gains the Atma. All we need is to choose, that's all. Choosing. Have you heard something called Swayamvara? In the ancient times, the princesses, who were very beautiful and well known, so there were many suitors for her. So how do you find the right match for her? So they will have Swayamvara. They will invite all the princes from all the countries. They display themselves. They come in very, very well dressed. So their potential suitors, they want this princess to choose them. So then princess comes out with her friend, and this friend, she knows each one of them. So as she comes, she describes, who is this fellow, who is next one. Next one. The poets describe this very wonderfully, what happens when the princess comes, how the face lights up. And when she proceeds, how it. Anyway, ultimately, she chooses. It's called Varanam. So Varavala, Varanam, choosing. You can choose only one among all these important things. You cannot choose more than one. In your life also, lots of choices are there, and Ishvara is one of them. Who do we choose? Yame Vaisha Vrunute. One who chooses offer that Varamala, that Mala to only Ishvara. And sometimes things are not that easy. There was one princess whose name was Damayanti, very well known. And there was a prince whose name was Nala. Each one of them had heard about each other and they all, both of them got married to each other. And Damayanti wanted to get married to Nala. And so her father had organized a Swayamvara. All the princess were come and she was going to choose. But she had already decided who she was going to choose. So not only the human princes wanted this Damayanti, but Devatas also wanted to marry with her. So Devatas, Indra, and fire god, and these Devatas also, so what they did, they assumed the form of Nala. So now when Damayanti comes out, there are 4 Nalas. So how do you choose now? But her friend is very smart. She says, Damayanti, the Devatas do not, you see, human beings have this, that we keep on, flicking our eyes. Devatas don't do it. So the 3, of the 4, 3's, their eyes are not flicking. 4th. Varnam. So you have to exclude others in order to choose one. Understand that. Yamaya Vaishya Brunate. One excludes everything in life and only chooses the Atman. And again it is non-dual. Then Labhya. He alone gains that. How does he gain? Tasya Atma Vivrunate Tanum Swam. For that devotee, the Atma reveals himself. In the 10th chapter, Lord Krishna says that when I find that my devotees are totally dedicated to me, with no agenda at all, then out of compassion for them, I reveal myself to them. I light the lamp of knowledge in the heart and dispel the darkness of ignorance. Abhyavicharani, unswerving devotion. Ananyogana, where the object of devotion is no other than the self. I want to know the Ishvara as self. You want to keep the distance. Mai chananya bhavyogena bhakti abhyavicharani. So you are listening. When we listen to the teacher, this also is the attitude. When we were studying with Swamiji, there was an American brahmachari student sitting right in second row, I think. And everybody had a table like desks like this, and he had written on his desk, Swamiji is talking about me. Well, when he talks about Brahman, then we think it's Brahman, Atman. Something we imagine something. So he reminds, he's talking about me, not anybody else. So Atma is only subject matter. I used to be known as myself. So then our life, whatever we do, will culminate into what it is that we are seeking. So Lord Krishna says the goal should be very clear, the means also become very clear. Then bhakti in terms of activity may take the form of Shravanam, listening to his glories, Kirtanam, singing his glories, Smaranam, remembering him. It's one way. Or Karma Yoga, dedicated serving, Upasana, meditating upon him. Jnana Yoga, Vichara, Atma Vichara. All of these are bhakti, but one thing is Ananya Yoga. Lord Krishna wants us to be very clear that ultimately we are seeking him as our own self. Abhyavicharani, that he alone is the object of worship and nothing else. Mahija Ananya Yogena Bhakti Abhyavicharani. Next is Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. Vivikta Desha means solitude. Desha means a place. Vivikta, which is separate from everything else. Sevitvam, repairing to solitude, meaning love for solitude. Lord Krishna says, a practice of resorting to solitude. Cultivating love for solitude. But solitude is a tough thing. It's very difficult. You know what? Because in solitude, It's called ekanta in Sanskrit also. I have company. Whose company do I have? In solitude. Whose company do I have? My company. That's the most difficult company. Meaning that it is very difficult to be with myself. It can be provided I will learn to like myself. Or I have made myself likable. There is antahakara shuddhi, the purity of mind. As the mind becomes free from raga, dvesha, or the impurities, the test or the measure of that is that I find myself more and more comfortable with myself. How do you know, Swamiji, how do I know that my mind is getting purified? How much comfortable you are with yourself. Because ultimate goal is total comfort with oneself. Atmaneva atmana tushta. One is totally satisfied with oneself. And why not? Because self is ananda. Therefore a wise man is totally satisfied with the self, which is ananda, therefore abides in the self. But unfortunately, this ignorance creates ahankara, the ego, creates raga, dvesha, attachment, aversion. And these are the entities which in fact veil the happiness which is my nature, deprive me of the experiencing of happiness which is my nature, and present unhappiness where there is happiness. And therefore, the most difficult person to live with is myself. When I am by myself, my mind comes all kinds of stuff. All, unresolved stuff may be there. All of that comes out. And usually I say, we've been saying since last 3 days, that I'm very critical of myself. I find myself not acceptable of myself. And therefore, it is most difficult to live with me. This is the moment we become alone, first thing we do is to look at this cell phone and WhatsApp and something or the other, meaning distracting the mind, distracting from myself. So most of our activities are these self-escape mechanism, escaping from the self. That's what I've been doing all along. So then if you send me to solitude, I'll be miserable. Because how to escape from myself? You don't allow me to escape from myself. But anyway, we have to cultivate that love of solitude, meaning that we have to learn to spend time with our own self. And watch our mind, have introspection, understanding the mind. What are the raga dveshas? What is it that creates this dissatisfaction with myself? Understanding them, resolving them. And of course, all the values, etc. we're talking about are all means of creating a mind where I discover more and more comfort in myself. As I said, I like myself when I'm compassionate. I don't like myself when I'm cruel. I like myself when I'm charitable, not when I'm greedy. I like myself when I'm kind, not when I'm cruel. So these values are meant to create self-liking as we proceed. At the same time, Lord Krishna says that do cultivate a value of spending some time with yourself in introspection and nothing else. Even if you don't go away to a lonely place for 1 week or something, or even for 1 day, every day also we should take out some time for ourselves, where we can retire or withdraw from the activities and try to do nothing. If nothing, watch the mind, understand the mind, understand the self, develop an acquaintance with oneself. And we have been discussing since the last 3 days various disturbing thoughts that arise in the mind, understand them, resolve them by Pratipaksha Bhavana. So doing that also we require some leisure. Ideally, we should be constantly watching the mind. Ideally, we should be constantly resolving the thoughts as they arise, negative thoughts as they arise. But usually we are so under pressure that we don't have the leisure to do that while we are active. Therefore, take out a special time where I have the leisure to observe my mind, to understand my mind, resolve the things that need to be resolved to begin with. So, being with myself, for understanding myself, resolving things and trying to cultivate a liking for myself. Remind myself, this ego, the I, mind, this is not my true self. The raga and dvesha are not my true nature. Remind myself of the teaching. Vedanta is only one teaching which says you are beautiful, you are whole, you are complete, you are love, you are happiness, you mind. And this negates the negativities in the mind in the light of my understanding. So we need some leisure time to assimilate the knowledge, to understand things, assimilate them, to assimilate our values also. We require to discover value of values. All of this needs some time. So Viditatmananda Savitvam, cultivate a habit of resorting to solitude in the own home, in my own room. Swamiji, in home you don't know. When children wake up, there's no solitude, nothing is possible. But before they wake up, but I am not awake, but you wake up. Find a time when there is no noise, no disturbance. Before they woke up, after they go to sleep, a corner in the house, when a practice of trying to be with myself, a practice of introspection, of understanding myself. What is the truth of myself in light of what Vedanta teaches? What is ignorance? How does ignorance manifest in my mind? Understanding it. Your understanding ignorance also is important. How ignorance prevails in my life, in what form? What attitudes it creates, what reactions it creates, what tendencies it creates. To understand that also, what the problem is. More clear the problem becomes, more clear the solution will become. And then more value will arise for knowledge. Then more value arise for a mind which is fit for knowledge and for the values which give you that mind. So right now you are listening to this, you understand, but Swamiji, when I am listening, when I go back again, so sometimes very prescribed that people should transcribe this talk, not just listen or transcribe. So when you have to listen to every word. Right now your mind can go away here and there, and even otherwise some things will be lost. But you write every word, listen to every word. Then you discover so many things that you did not see while you are listening in the class. And write in your own words, editing, that's even more rewarding. Do it with the teaching. So you can find also a creative activity for yourself when you are with yourself. Is take up a talk. Shravana is one thing, listening. That's why they ask you to write notes and things like that. That's one of the purposes. You write notes, then the clarity comes. Because you write, then you have to understand what you're writing. Oh, this is what it means. That's what Swami said. All of these can be included in this Viditatmananda Savitvam. When I can be totally with myself, I have an activity which brings me close to myself. Then you can do japa also, you can do other things as well if you need some activity. But important to spend time with oneself, with Ishvara, in prayers, in japa, meditation, in contemplation. And hopefully stretch that period of time. Start 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. It is not easy. This man had problems as usual at his home. And he would usually come home by 6 o'clock and his wife would gently oblige with a cup of tea. Today, by chance, he came home at 5 o'clock and wife is busy and then he announced, "I'm here." All right. No response. No response. For no tea came for half an hour. This fellow got really upset. He says, "There is no place in this house for me. I'm leaving right now." This was 10 million times he had said, "No, she doesn't care." But this time he really left, Where do you go to Rishikesh? Comes to the ashram. "Swami, you have come?" Very good. So Swami was very kind. He asked one of his sevaks and says, "Give him a room." "So what do you want to do?" "I want to meditate." "All right, give him a nice room overlooking Ganga." In a few minutes he comes back, "But Swami, how long should I meditate?" 15 minutes. Came back in 5 minutes. "But what should I meditate on?" So Swami asked him, "Who was the last one that you see when you left home?" "My wife." "Meditate on any other than your wife." But in 3 minutes he comes back, "Only my wife comes in my mind, then better go home." It's not that easy. But that's why Lord Krishna says that we have to cultivate that. When I'm not distracted into anything. If distraction is there, it's form of Shravanam, Mananam, Japa, etc. Not distraction which takes my mind away from the focus. Viditatmananda. That's a love for solitude. In 6th chapter, Lord Krishna described the 18th chapter, Viditatmananda, Laghvashi, Yatva, Kayamanasa, Susodesha, Pratishthapya, etc., etc. So, importance of solitude, being with oneself is emphasized. Because ultimately we have to be with ourselves. A wise person is totally with himself. And this becomes a practice for ultimately achieving that end. The means should be compatible to the end. Therefore, cultivating a liking for solitude. We'll continue. Om Purnamada